Thank you for tuning into Tech Trends, the program that takes you on a ride in 25 minutes to seek out innovation and creativity that are unique to Africa. On our lineup this week, 12 EdTech startups showcase their products and growth at the demo day put together by the Co-Creation Hub and MasterCard Foundation. Plus, I chat with Adedeji Owonibi, Senior Partner at A&D Forensics, and we discuss how businesses and individuals can stay ahead of cyber threats. Welcome to the program. I'm Olayemi Otunuga.
As technology changes the way we communicate, connect, create, consume, and innovate, it is democratizing access to opportunity. Education is no exception.
12 innovative Nigerian EdTech startups, after a 6-month accelerator program, have been empowered with the tools that enhance learning outcomes and accelerate access to equitable and quality education. At the demo day put together by the Co-Creation Hub and MasterCard Foundation, the 12 startups showcased their products and growth over the 6-month program.
April, a round of applause for him. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of this.
It's demo day for 12 innovative Nigerian EdTech startups that form the inaugural cohort of an EdTech fellowship program by the Co-Creation Hub and MasterCard Foundation. After a rigorous selection process, the chosen 12 startups embarked on a 6-month accelerator program where they received support in 4 areas: product, talent, funding, and distribution. The fellowship empowered them with the tools that enhance learning outcomes and accelerate access to equitable and quality education for Africa's next generation.
Part of the reason why education is important to us is because you cannot accelerate innovation if you do not have quality talent pipeline. And we know that education is a vehicle to be able to build that talent pipeline that we have. And the way that we think about our work in education at CC Hub, we say that we are trying to build the next generation of highly innovative thinkers who will solve our most pressing problems on the continent.
312,000 learners in just 6 months is a significant milestone. This goes to show how much more impact we can create if more EdTech companies are accelerated. We're doing this because we want to change the education ecosystem. If you know, the typical African child on the African continent really struggles to go past their primary school. And so the solutions that our EdTech fellows have come up with and are continuing to build are what are going to catalyze and propel us to give more access to Africa's young people, for them to be able to get a good education, quality and relevant education across the continent.
This demo day signals the end of the 6-month journey, and the participating startups exhibit their progress by showcasing their products.
We want to do it with the power of edutainment, and we want to do it effortlessly. What we have done with SabiTeach is to build an online learning marketplace.
We built a learning management system, so it's very integrated into what schools are doing and empowers teachers.
A fireside chat focused on the theme driving adoption for EdTech solutions in Nigeria puts the spotlight on how leveraging technology, collaborations, bridging the accessibility gap, and funding can help reshape the education industry.
For these startups, we need them, especially now.
Let's also look at it from the other side, from the funding side of things. If you look at VC funding for the last couple of years, even post-COVID, when money was flowing like water, EdTech still received around 1% of that funding.
The 12 fellows from the program will also receive funding to help drive the growth and scaling of their businesses. And over the next 12 months, CC Hub will also provide them with post-acceleration advisory support.
This came at a time where our idea also met resources. So the 6 months for us was a time of development. We had to do lots of product development. Right now, of course, it's like 300% growth for us in terms of product. Now we've been able to integrate into our system the learning community where learners can meet educators to communicate. We also have integrated our system a self-paced course module, right? Making SabiTeach a 360 online education platform. So for us, of course, it's been an exciting moment, and we're grateful for it.
I think one of the greatest thing to take away from it is all the help you get from all the various areas. So you had people helping you on your product, people helping you on distribution, people helping you to be investment ready, helping you with your finance, helping you with recruitment. It was like sending a fairy godmother to help you with all your problems. It was really awesome. And then the wonderful EdTech companies that we connected with was also great. One of the most awesome part of it was the learning science. There's one thing about EdTech and the other thing about getting the science behind it so that the learning outcomes are achieved. That was really, really awesome. Ensuring that we look at all the various aspects of our business and ensure that the learning science behind it, the theories, the principles are all implemented and applied.
The Demo Day is a unique opportunity to see firsthand the transformative potential of the 12 EdTech startups and how the solutions will revolutionize Nigeria's education sector. Going toe-to-toe with a robot in the boxing ring may still be in the realm of science fiction. But at the Institute for Human and Machine Cognition in Pensacola, Florida, researchers say it's the perfect way to test their humanoid robot, Nadia. IHMC Robotics Lab, in collaboration with Boardwalk Robotics, recently unveiled the robot's prowess by showcasing Nadia engaging in a sparring session with a human opponent.
My name is Robert Griffin, and I'm a research scientist with the Institute for Human and Machine Cognition, a research professor with the University of West Florida, and a technical advisor with Boardwalk Robotics. I run our robotics research, particularly our efforts in humanoid robots, where we actually recently installed some new arms on our humanoid robot, Nadia, that were built by Boardwalk, and thought to ourselves, what better way to test them than with robot boxing?
Technically, Nadia was being teleoperated by a fellow scientist, guided by virtual reality control, demonstrating the potential for human-controlled robot avatars. Griffin said robots like Nadia could be used to navigate indoor spaces, mirroring human adaptability to challenges like stairs, ladders, and debris.
Right now, though, our projects with Nadia aren't really focused on boxing. What we're really looking towards is making robots that can start doing some of the dangerous tasks that we currently rely on people to do. Things like bomb disposal, nuclear cleanup, disaster response. These are all currently done by people because we just don't really have robots that are capable of doing them instead. Humanoid robots, though, have this amazing potential to function as these kind of human-robot avatars. While, yes, autonomy and artificial intelligence are making huge advances on even a daily basis, they still struggle with sort of a one-off task where the human is trying to have the robot do something that they've never done before, when they're likely to continue to struggle with that in the future. While they're, really incredible, one of the reasons that they struggle like this is they don't really have the intelligence or cognitive capabilities that people do. Instead, by making these kind of immersive telepresence interfaces, we think that you can leverage the human cognitive capability on the robot while still allowing the human to be in a safe place.
And while roboboxing is not the researchers' ultimate aim, Griffin added that Nadia's punch could be a lot more powerful.
While these new arms are really strong, we haven't actually fully measured how strong they are. We haven't really done tests by seeing how much they can lift or how hard they can push. We have done some basic tests doing actions like curls, and we actually were able to see that the robot can do something like curl about 6 kilograms pretty much for forever without overheating the motor or overrunning the gearbox. But we haven't actually come close to pushing the limits on its strength. We don't actually know how much weight could the robot lift, how much can it curl, anything like that.
Named after famed Romanian gymnast Nadia Comaneci, Nadia is designed to have a high power-to-weight ratio and extensive range of motion through the use of innovative mechanisms and composite materials. Scientists in Switzerland have shown we can control an extra robotic arm with our eyes and breathing without affecting our ability to do other things at the same time. The research published in Science Robotics could help the design of robotic prosthetics for people who have lost their motor functions through trauma or illness. But it could also give healthy people extra powers, and that's according to Professor Silvestro Mekera, a neuroengineer at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology.
Our goal is to allow healthy people to control an extra arm as naturally as the real natural arms. And what we did in our study was to show that using breathing and gaze, it is possible for healthy people to quickly learn to control an extra arm while also controlling the natural ones.
The researchers devised a control system where a user wearing virtual reality goggles sees 3 arms, while a belt around their waist measures them breathing in and out. Volunteers held onto an exoskeleton which controlled the virtual left and right arms, while movements detected by the belt controlled the VR third arm. The team also tested breathing control with a real robotic arm strapped to the chest that extends in and out with the diaphragm.
Eventually, we were able to implement the interface that we developed for the control of a real robotic arm. And what was extremely interesting to see was that both trained participants and naive participants perform similarly, again showing the intuitiveness of our control interface.
Although not reported in their study, the team also found that volunteers could be trained to control a computer mouse with muscles behind our ears that we have stopped using through evolution, known as vestibular muscles.
So we are also investigating other approaches to control this extra limb, for example, using vestigial muscles. So these muscles that we have in our body, but through evolution, we have lost their functionality. We have found that through a few days of training, people could use these auricular muscles, which are this muscle we have behind the ears, to control this extra limb while still using their natural arms and still speaking and looking around.
The study is part of a Swiss National Science Foundation project to develop a wearable robotic arm to assist in daily tasks or to help in search and rescue.
In today's digital age, where information flows freely and transactions happen in an instant, the importance of cybersecurity cannot be overstated. The growing consumer expectations and customer mobility are prompting financial institutions to make a shift from the traditional models to modern digital services. As part of this shift, banks are also increasingly adopting new technologies. However, as technology advances, cybercriminals find new ways to exploit vulnerabilities and compromise data. Joining me to discuss this further is Adedeji Owonibi, Senior Partner at A&D Forensics, and we talk about how individuals and businesses can stay ahead of evolving threats. When it comes to cyber threats, the financial services sector has always been a target. How can these institutions keep up with security and compliance?
Where the money is warehoused, that's where a lot of people want to be, and the cyber criminals are targeting where value are, and that is why they face the financial industry. And I must say, this is not the best of time for any financial institution. But again, there's a lot of responsibility on the cybersecurity team of every financial institution today. From they have to build a serious cyber resilience, and to do that, they have to do so much around educating their workforce. Again, because the strongest cybersecurity protection is as strong as the individual in that organization. So they are always the weakest point, and so therefore they have to make sure that they educate them. So a proper cyber security framework, in my view, will be what they have to capitalize on. Financial institutions have to move away from the traditional by just having a team of 1 or 2 people saying there should be the cybersecurity guys and they can oversee everything. They have to be continually testing their systems for vulnerabilities, and they have to do penetration testing to see what they even promise the public. That is, that's what they have. They have to make sure that they continue to do that.
Deji, let's talk about data privacy. Now, these financial institutions, they gather and process large amounts of personal data, like names, addresses, emails, and the like. Is there a way to ensure that the right security controls are in place to safeguard this information?
Yeah, so a good one. I think it's a beautiful question, because now it's about data privacy now that the discussion is all over. But I think the financial institutions and the payment service sector are doing pretty well so far. It's just to ensure very great practice. And what I mean great practice is to make sure that they are complying with the necessary industry standard for payment card industry standard, general data protection regulation, and for Nigerian data protection regulation. If, of course, all the framework of what needs to be done has to be there, is for them to make sure that this personal identifiable information that they collect on their individual customers are not left in plain text. And when I say in plain text, that they have to be encrypted in the, I think they know better. I think they're doing that. It's just for us to be able to make sure that we follow standards, we do regular audits, and to make sure that the data protection officer within the financial institutions are up to date with their industry standards. I think that's the best way to actually protect customers' data, because when it gets out into the hand of the fraudsters, they make do with a lot of schemes currently happening. I see a lot of people, I see some sites now. As a matter of fact, so simply that when they get information from your banking details, from what your balance is like, they have a similar thing and project it to begin to fish and make sure some people are defrauded. And some of them, they get those information from the bank, for example. I think a friend was defrauded some few days ago. And that one is just clearly has nothing to do with the financial institution, has something to do with the WhatsApp calls and phone calls and all that. And, calling to say, oh, can you send 100,000, 200,000? So the scammers are not asking for big money. They want to just ask for something that is within what you can part with. And normally they use somebody that is very familiar to you that they have had. And so this colleague sent 250,000, and then they said, "But can you send again? Because this is how the message came. Oh, I'm currently somewhere, my bank network is not working. Can you send this to this account, or I will sort you out immediately I leave?" And they know, they will have seen the correspondence and the kind of communication with that person to know, oh, they do something like that. And so I tell people now, don't part with your money until you call. But again, there's also another ask, because the person is saying, I will never release any money anymore until I call the person to know. But again, with artificial intelligence, the voice of that person can be mimicked and you hear him speaking to you. So we are living in a very delicate world now, and every one of us has to be pretty careful about it.
Now, talking about the WhatsApp scams, it appears there have been a lot of incidents like that recently. And people say that even though they've, put in place the two-factor authentication, they're still hacked. What else can be done to prevent, such attacks?
So again, I think that this is where we talk about education. So if you have two-factor authenticator, it will be pretty difficult, again, for you to be hacked. But the simple way, like last week, I was tried. So I belong to a professional group. Apparently, the scammer have gotten into that group. And I received a call from this scammer to say hey, Deji, how are you today, and all those issues. So I remember we're in the same platform with so he quoted the platform accurately, and he said we're trying to do a small training to discuss for some important professional things, and we think we're creating a group for you to join. I'm sending you, as I was talking, the link came. Well, because I understand, I'm educated on the schemes the fraudsters use, I decided to just cut him off and refuse to punch on that. So if you punch on that link that he's sending to you, automatically he will get access to your phone. So I think we have to do a lot of education. And now that everything is going digital, I think there's no better time now to be cyber aware than this time. You know, every one of us that are interacting with our phone, that are using our phone to do a lot of transaction with financial institutions, with this mobile money and all those issues, we have to know about cybersecurity. And these people have a lot of schemes. They are not sleeping. They are innovating every time. And I believe, as we're educated, don't click on links you're not familiar with and what you are not too sure of. Don't trust. If you hear the voice that looks like the voice of someone you know, still do not trust in the world of artificial intelligence that we live today. Somebody can mimic the same of my voice. Somebody can say, yes, I actually need this, I'm in trouble. And there's another thing, how we get to know this is just evolving. And I think we're building a lot of resilience around this, doing a lot of education. Like in our firm, that's what we do, a lot of education around this, a lot of advising companies, a lot of vulnerability assessment for startups, for businesses, for fintechs, to be able to actually make sure they are ready and they are testing themselves always. Even if you do the vulnerability assessment now and it tells you your system is okay, you do penetration testing, there are layers of experts that can actually break through to see if what you're doing is still okay. So it's just a continuous game. In my view, I think it's just a rat race. As we do, the criminals bring a new scheme. Of course, you're not sleeping. And continuously like that, that is just the world we live in today. And we have to just stay with that.
But Deji, there's, so many ways that these threats come in. So now, in the event of a cyber incident, and for those that are not well informed about these schemes, what measures can they implement to stay ahead of, these threats?
So the first step immediately an incident happens is to do a general assessment of what has gone, what happened, how did it happen, what did you find, what would have done better to actually avert what has happened previously. So that assessment is key. Then we'll begin to take remediations about why, what are the loopholes we saw, how can we patch, how can we make sure that it doesn't happen again. But again, this what I'm saying, can happen with very structured institutions, but for individuals and all that, when your heart, of course, we learn, but we don't want to learn by falling victims. We can learn from people's lessons, like what I mentioned earlier. Don't listen to people telling you to send money to anything, anywhere, online, on your phone. Just make sure that it's possibly, if there's a other secure way to actually communicate with that person before you release your money. So there's a lot, happening. But for me, by and large, if incident happens, the first says why it happens, what really went wrong, how did it happen, what are the steps to be taken to avert future occurrence of that. But I think by and large, what I will suggest, which I've not seen very well, is actually for institutions, if they know that their cyber resilience has been built so strongly, is to be able to say, hey, these Yahoo boys, these hackers within the space, do not actually attack, but come here, try on our system. We are glad to see what you can do, and we'll pay you. So we call it a bounty hunting project. And they should be able to have that on. I've not seen any website. You're supposed to go to any website of this financial institution or fintechs and find their bounties there. So just last week, I pulled one and I gave to my team. And it's just an institution in France that is saying, if you can hack us and you can find any vulnerability, we're ready to part with $250,000 US. And our team are getting that. They're getting people paying $50,000 because they find vulnerability and they're happy because it will cost them more when they don't do that kind of a check. And so people will say, oh, we'll put a bounty of $50,000 if you can find any vulnerability in our system. Because they commission you to do that, you want to tell them step by step that you have carried out to find that vulnerability. You're giving them that report, you're telling them how to remediate it, then you win that bounty of that either 50,000, 10,000, whatever amount they put in. I think there's a way to stay ahead of the core, because again, you're opening yourself to all the would-be attackers. And they are telling you this is how we are found. You know, someone was telling me, a very prominent financial institution that was asked recently, that they actually found the vulnerability, but they don't know how to communicate to them. And I think that is a big deal. And I think financial institutions should pay attention to things like that and clearly just put it out there how companies, experts, bug hunting teams can reach out to them to say, oh, this is what we found. I think we can patch it this way. But they have to clearly define the rewards for doing that. If they just believe we're okay and we are not hackable, they keep continue to hack there and they continue to fall victim of this cyber attack.
Hopefully more organizations can, take advantage of this advice that you've just given. That was an insightful conversation with you, Adedeji Owonibi, Senior Partner at A&D Forensics. It was nice having you on Tech Trends.
My pleasure as always. Thank you very much.
Well, that's our show this week. Thank you for staying with us. Do not forget, Tech Trends is here to share insights, trends, and developments happening in the tech space. Also, all of our episodes are on the Channels TV YouTube accounts, and I encourage you to watch, share, and like your favorite editions. Until I come your way again next week, I'm Olayemi Ojunuga. Bye for now.